Hi and hello everyone. Welcome back to Scholar IAS current affair classes. So hope you're all set. Let's see the important articles of the day. So the first article is on privatization of banks. So this is related to your mains GS3 paper. Before we get into this article, one point you have to remember, few days back we studied an article on privatization of public sector undertaking. If you have noted down points from that article, then make a note of these points as well and then try to integrate them and get a holistic understanding of privatization objective of the government. So, government has actually announced disinvestment of stakes in two public sector banks, and this move comes after almost 51 years of after nationalization of banks in 1969. That happened in 1969. So, this is what the news is about. So, initially, let's try to understand the history of nationalization of bank, and then we'll proceed with the privatization of banks. After independence, the number of banks in India was brought down from 566 in 1951 to almost 91 in 1967. So you can see how much drastically number of banks has been reduced. And after this, the first bank to be nationalized was State Bank of India. That was done in 1955. Okay. And in 1960s, a problem arose with private banks. The main problem was that they did not focus on rural areas. These private banks were profit oriented, so they were concentrated in urban areas and they did not focus on rural areas. And because of their profit orientedness, they did not cater much to the social sector. So credit to rural and social sector was severely restricted because of private banks. And after this, because of this, in 1969, 14 largest private banks were nationalized. So this was the brief history about nationalization of banks in India. Now let's try to understand why government is considering this privatization move. Despite many attempts to inject capital into the banks as well as to improve governance, the position of banks did not improve. And we can know this by the higher levels of stressed assets and lower levels of profitability in public sector banks specifically. And also the market capitalization of these banks are very low. And these two are primary reasons. In addition to that, this is also in line with the strategy of having limited government-owned banks. Okay, government is planning to have limited number of government-owned banks so that they are trying to consolidate the existing banks and merge them or else privatize them. This is the objective. And so this privatization proposal is in line with these objectives. Now let's try to understand the existing problems of public sector banks. The first thing is, as I mentioned before, the stressed assets. As of now, the NPAs have coupled and also there is less profitability. And during COVID, there were some lenience shown towards banking system. And now after this situation, after the relaxation is taken, the commercial banks, all the gross NPA income, all commercial banks are expected to increase from 7.5 percentage to 13.5 percentage. Now we can understand the gravity of the situation that these public sector banks are facing. Also, greater amount of budgetary allocation is spent on recapitalization itself. So, because of NPA, there are many weak government-owned banks, and these to strengthen them and to make them function on a regular basis, the budgetary allocation is made, and this share of this budgetary allocation is too high, so that the government these are the basic problems that these public sector banks are facing. But this situation is just one side of the story, because we have to understand how actually the private banks are performing. If we are going to privatize public sector banks, we have to understand what the existing situation of the private banks are. When we look at the history of private banks, actually RBI allowed more private banks to function in India after 1990s, that is after LPG move, that is liberalization, privatization and globalization. And because of this, the competition, the presence of banks and the new products all expanded. But in recent years, the performance of even private banks is being questioned because of two major reasons. One is the leadership in some private banks they are facing some allegations that are related to extension of dubious loans and underreporting the NPAs. In such cases, the leadership facing issue. And second is operational issues. So when we say operational issues, this example is Lakshmi Vilas Bank, which got merged with the DBS Bank of Singapore. And this Lakshmi Vilas Bank because the reason for this merger was the operational issue. So with even private banks facing some issues around NPAs and leadership and operational issues, we have to be very careful in how the privatization of public sector banks are undertaken. So when doing that, certain recommendations of the committees like Narasimhan committee and PJ Nayak committee has to be taken into account, which actually stated to bring down the government share to 33 and 50% respectively. Okay, and also RBI's working group suggested entry of business houses into banking sector. So it basically tries to broaden the banking sector, the participant stakeholders in the banking sector itself. And in response to this, privatization and reduction of number of banks through merger are focused. So instead of directly privatizing all the banks, mergers can also be considered because it would basically consolidate all the banks and make it as bring it under single large banks. So this is even adopted in many developed nations. So this is all about privatization of banks article, students. Let's move on to the next article. So the second article is on Atmanirbhar India. So this is basically linking Union Budget's perspective towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. Okay. So Atmanirbhar Bharat as such is a tool, is a vehicle for the Union Budget to actually effectively function. Because Atmanirbhar is focusing on long-term sustainable growth. It's not just focusing on some next 5-year plan or just another 10 years growth. It's actually looking in a long-term perspective. So that's why for Union Budget 2021-2022 itself this is a vehicle for that budget itself. First, let's try to understand how the Union Budget has actually incorporated the values of Atmanirbhar Bharat in its budget. One is the budget has actually committed for development, growth and reforms. Okay, it's not just looking for some short-term development or short-term growth, rather the long-term development itself. Okay, and also it provides for quick short-term solutions. Though it looks for a long-term solution, there are certain issues that needs quick short-term solution. That too, it is very necessary for people of vulnerable section and poor, those who are below poverty line. And it is mostly looking at medium-term and long-term sustainable growth, as I mentioned before. And in this direction, certain efforts has been taken by the government. So some of the important efforts are strong stimulus that has been provided for recovery after COVID. And also it aims to maintain India as the fastest growing economies in the world, because after this COVID, the growth of many economies have come down. The growth pace of many economies have come down. But for India, it is trying to keep up the same pace that it was before COVID. And also the government has proposed to invest in developing infrastructures like roads, dams and schools, because it has a multiplier effect on the whole economy itself. And few other efforts also include building of institutions like, let's say, health institutions, social sector associated institutions, and as well as trying to monetize certain assets. So we know, as in our previous article we saw, the privatization objective is itself a type of monetization of certain assets. And in line with dedication commitment towards infrastructure, the National Infrastructure Pipeline project is going to create more jobs and push demand. So basically, as I said, it is going to have a multiplier effect in the whole economy itself. And when we say about the quality that the budget focuses on, the main focus is given to the quality of expenditure. It's not just about the quantity, rather the quality of expenditure, because any expenditure has to show some output that is not just incremental but also significant. So this quality, objective of this quality is being enshrined in the budget, and this is in line with the Atmanirbhar Bharat itself. And also separate amount is allocated to provide for those departments that show economic wisdom. So this is very important. Just because some amount is allocated to a department doesn't mean that it has to spend all those money without having any significant impact on ground. Rather, to assess how impact such expenditures are, they are trying to have a separate amount. They are allocating separate amount to certain departments. It will be mostly around the social sector departments, and also it tries to, by this they try to increase the efficiency of fund utilization. Another aspect that we have to look along with quality of expenditure is the economic prudence, because budget did not provide for radical taxes or cess that would be levied from the public. because this was done to ensure that the public that is already facing some financial crisis because of COVID doesn't face more heat. Though the government is going to face a fiscal deficit, they haven't taken up any such radical measure of taxing the public furthermore. So this is a welcome, as if that is done, the demand would get affected and the economy would collapse again. So instead of taxing the public, the government is financing the deficit through market borrowings. Okay, this is better taxation as it would not restrict the poor and the middle class of the spending capacity. Okay, and also greater push towards disinvestment and privatization is being looked into. As we saw, privatization of PSUs or disinvestment of stakes in public sector banks are looked into, and this is done to reduce the fiscal deficit itself. And moreover, these moves are in line with the idea of minimum government and maximum governance. So this is how basically the government in its budget has brought in the Atmanirbhar Bharat's idea, values, and as well as the objective of Atmanirbhar Bharat in the budget. So students, this is all for today's class. Hope you like the class. For more videos, subscribe to our channel, and for more content, visit our platform scholar.com. Till next class, happy learning. See you. Bye bye.